Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I am meteorologist Chris Bianchi, 9 News watch anchor as well. And our weather headlines for today. By the way, if you got a comment or a question about today's weather or the forecast I'm about to get into, and you're joining us on Facebook, just drop it in the comment section below and I'll try and get to as many of those comments and questions as possible. So the overall headlines for today, we've got a really nice weather day on top. I'll step out of the way so you can take a look at these, but a few storms again for today. But if you're joining us from the Denver metro area, those storms will be mainly coming from the foothills and the Palmer Divide. Similar to yesterday, but less storm coverage than what we saw yesterday. I think it's going to be mainly a dry day for most of us in the Denver metro area. But again, we will have 1 or 2 storms that develop. I think Morrison, Golden, up through, say, Boulder. I think that's where you're going to be looking at the higher risk for a storm today. Same for us along the Palmer Divide, Centennial, Lone Tree, South Castle Rock, so northern Douglas, maybe northern Elbert County, and southern Arapahoe County and southern Jefferson County. Those will be the main spots for a storm today. Cooler day, not going to last. Yeah, that'll eventually be our big story here in terms of the weather, because here comes the heat. So current satellite and radar imagery. In fact, one thing that really stands out from this map, there's our cold front. It is very pronounced. I mean, you can see that little band of clouds and those showers. That's our front. And by the way, if you're joining us from the Denver metro area and on north into Fort Collins and throughout the Front Range, it feels outside, amazing outside right now, right? That's the reason why. You can thank that cold front, say, thank you, cold front. And the cold front says you're welcome. Meantime, behind it, that's where we're seeing those cooler temperatures. And that cooler northerly wind will eventually make its way south into Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and southeastern Colorado, but not before we see 1 or 2 stronger showers and storms. And these will be slow-moving storms, so that's why there's a flash flood watch that's in place. This is going to be for the burn scars. And the main burn scars to watch for here in southern Colorado would be the Junkins Fire, the Spring Creek Fire, the West Cliff Fire. Those will be the areas where we have a higher risk for seeing some of that flash flooding. Levada Pass on west through the San Luis Valley, the Wet Mountains. Those will be the main spots where we could see some of that flash flooding later on today, and that'll be with those slow-moving storms. Tomorrow, pretty tranquil throughout much. But that's where you see the higher risk for a stronger storm or 2. If you're joining us from Lamar, Springfield on north through La Junta, on west to I-25, Walsenburg on north through Pueblo, Trinidad. The main threat from these storms today, these ones in that darker shade of green, it's going to be damaging winds. It doesn't look like it's going to be a big hail day, so worth keeping that in mind. That, yeah, damaging winds, nothing to scoff at or anything like that, but the hail risk for today, I know a lot of us tend to be concerned about that. It does look to be fairly low. Maybe 1 or 2 storms that produce some larger hail, but I think for the most part today is going to be a damaging wind threat. And again, it's going to be mainly confined to southeastern Colorado, where you see some of those shower storms develop here for southern parts of the state. Also here, again, into the mountains, we will have some of those showers and storms around. 1 or 2 for us here into Larimer, Grand, as well as in Routt counties into the northern mountains, where, of course, we're dealing with all the flooding in the East Troublesome, the Cameron Peak, the Calwood fire scars. We've had a real mess of things here in northern Colorado the last few days. Today, the threat for flash flooding in those areas looks considerably lower. Again, we're pushing the bulk of the moisture into southern Colorado, southeast Colorado. This is where we're more concerned about that flash flood threat. Not so much here today, and in fact, it'll get even drier for tomorrow and Thursday. So some good news. I know we need a breather from all that rain on those burn scars. I've seen so much of that water. Also, along I-70 here, maybe a chance for a shower there in Glenwood Springs and through the Grizzly Peak fire scar area. Again, the threat for today will be lower on the Grizzly Peak fire scar. Again, mainly concentrating against south of I-70 for your day today. And we'll see those shower storms hanging around today. One thing to keep in mind, notice the Denver area, we do have that storm kind of flaring up there in Clear Creek, western Jefferson County. We could see a storm or 2 lingering around after dark. So I think for the most part, it'll be between that typical 3 to 6, 4 to 7 time window for a shower storm around the Denver metro area. But I do think we'll still hold on to 1 or 2 storms after dark. So just worth keeping in mind. Don't be too shocked if you do see a storm or 2 lingering around after dark. Meantime, where we will certainly see that threat for some storms after dark will be into southern Colorado again. La Junta on east through Lamar, Springfield on west to I-25. Then we'll clear things out overnight. It'll take some time to clear things on that, but we'll start things off on a Sunday tomorrow, and your Thursday, I should say Thursday, I'm skipping ahead today, your Wednesday morning, July the 7th, where we do have some clear sunny skies for us along the I-25 corridor, along I-70 as well. And then we'll see some more shower storms later on into your day tomorrow, but a much lower chance tomorrow than what we're looking for today. Meantime, in terms of that forecast, kind of want to hone on in here on the Denver metro area where, again, we've got some storms into the mountains. I-70 Georgetown on east down to Idaho Springs and maybe again into western Jefferson County, getting down into the Denver metro area. We do have 1 or 2 storms around today. Higher risk west metro, south metro. Those will be the 2 spots where we'll probably have to deal with some of those storms. Downtown on north and east, much lower risk, but we will still have a non-zero risk for a shower storm from downtown on north and east. Again, the higher risk will be into the mountains. And again, notice this is overnight tonight. Our models and a lot of the short-range computer models have been trying to hint at this, that we do have some storms around the foothills and down through the Palmer Divide as well. So can't rule out the fact that we're going to see 1 or 2 of these storms hang around at an unusual time. Normally here in Colorado, I've been here for 11 years. I know a lot of you watching have been here way longer than that. We're used to those afternoon storms. We get that maybe 2, 3, 4 o'clock storm, clears on out pretty quickly. We don't get a whole lot in the way. It happens, but it's just not that common to get these overnight shower storms. Tonight, don't be surprised if we have one of those here on south to the I-70 corridor and on south to the Palmer Divide as well. Rainfall amounts, where we do get a storm, we could get a quick half-inch, quick quarter-inch to half-inch of rain. And, of course, that'll be extra concern up by, say, Estes Park. We don't want that to verify. We don't want that to pan out, that 1.15 inches. That would be a big problem for the east troublesome burn scar up there. And then even further north, the Cameron Peak could be an issue as well. But again, anything we do see today will be hit or miss. So even in the mountains where we do have a higher risk for a shower storm, it'll be hit or miss up there. Downtown on north and east, lower risk for a storm later on today. Now, current temperatures, hey, it is an award-winning weather day. Aside from that chance for a shower storm, we've got wonderful weather out there. Look at the 60s and 70s in the mountains, so it's calm and comfortable. You're doing a hike up there. Again, keep an eye to the sky because we will have some storms around, but for the most part, things are looking pretty calm up that way. Far eastern Colorado, look at this, mid to upper 80s for us. Lamar at 88 degrees right now. That's where we're going to have the higher risk for a shower storm. It's just a bit warmer, a bit more energy in the southeast Colorado, also a bit more moisture in the southeast part of the state. So that's why Denver, Greeley, Sterling, upper 70s, low 80s. You can get storms out of that, but you got a higher risk when you're in the mid to upper 80s, like our friends in southeastern parts of Colorado. One thing to keep in mind here, I haven't talked about this yet. We do have an air quality alert that is in place throughout much of the I-25 corridor. About an hour ago, I did take a look at some of the air quality index numbers. We're pretty low. We're okay in terms of those numbers right now, but just keep in mind till about 4 o'clock. So we've got another couple hours until this air quality alert will expire. But until then, just if you're in a sensitive breathing group, you've got asthma, just try and avoid that walk for the next few hours because we could be looking at some of those issues from the air quality today. But again, it doesn't look to be an overly high risk in terms of that air quality today. Just keep that in mind if you're in a sensitive breathing group. Now, those temperatures have dropped on down. After in Sterling, 11 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. That cold front has made it feel a lot more refreshing outside. I was outside about 2 hours ago and could certainly feel the difference. I went for a run this morning, something I haven't been able to do for the last few days because it's been so warm and muggy, right? And now certainly feeling a lot cooler out there. Forecast highs for today, as I mentioned, 80s off to the east. In fact, probably already beating that forecast high there in Lamar at 87. Grand Junction, as usual, we're just baking out there in the western slope, 97 scorching degrees for our friends out there in Grand Junction, Mesa County. Meantime, for tonight, upper 50s, so windows open, A-OK. Mother Nature will do the air conditioning for you tonight. Tomorrow, we do get those temperatures on up to about 90. So tomorrow we start to cook things a little bit in the metro area with those temperatures. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 90 tomorrow. It would be our 16th time this year at 90 or above in Denver already, which is, we're off to a pretty fast start in that department. But 89 for tomorrow. That will be the beginning of a mini heat wave that really ratchets up the temperatures as we get into Thursday. So for tomorrow, I mentioned, look at this, at 7 o'clock tomorrow, we got basically nothing on the map in terms of shower storms, maybe 1 or 2 down in southern Colorado, 1 or 2 hanging around the mountains. Anything we see tomorrow will be, pretty much any spot in the state is going to have a less than 20% chance of a shower storm. We'll see 1 or 2 develop, but they're going to be pretty few and far between. So if you got some of those hiking plans, outdoor plans, tomorrow's a great day for them because we're going to be really on the dry side. By the way, that'll continue into Thursday as well. So A-OK on those outdoor plans. If today, again, most of us should be dry, but if you get washed out today, you got washed out yesterday, and you want to kind of plan around having a for sure dry day, tomorrow and Thursday look pretty good for that. Meantime, only 5 degrees shy of your hottest temperature. Pretty hot stuff. The western slope, where we're just so dry, you get what's kind of termed a feedback loop. When there's no moisture in the ground, it means the land warms much more easily. And of course, that kind of snowballs a little bit, right? So if it's even warmer and it's even drier, it just continues to perpetuate that cycle. And that's been the issue for us here in western Colorado, and why Grand Junction, Moab are so starkly warmer than even eastern Colorado. Grand Junction, of course, similar elevation to Denver. Same for us in Moab. Moab, I believe, is 4,500 feet. In elevation, but again, similar elevation between eastern Colorado and southeastern Utah and western Colorado, but it's just so bone dry out this way. That is why we're talking about those temperatures out there that are so much warmer. Meantime, the mountains, comfortable for us, and that 7-day forecast, that all-important 7-day forecast, all eyes probably there on Thursday, right? That sticks out. 98 degrees for us on Thursday. Yeah, it's just baking out there. So no doubt about that. That's going to be on the warm side as we get later on into the day on Thursday. Friday, we stay on the warm side, but late Friday night, if you're kind of planning ahead for the weekend. By the way, I got my phone out because I'm going to take some of your comments and questions here in a second. Friday night, we do have a cold front that drops on through. When exactly it drops through will determine whether or not we're going to see some widespread storms. I know you see that little bit of lightning there on Thursday. What we see on Thursday should be storms where we get wind, but not a whole lot of rain. If you lived here in Colorado, you might know what a dry thunderstorm is, but if not, that's basically what it is. You just get very little in the way of rain. You get kind of gusty winds, and those storms tend to move pretty quickly. Friday night, Saturday morning, we get a more substantial cold front. That will bring with it the chance for some rain. And Saturday, we'll have storms around. Same for us into Sunday. And then early next week, we'll kind of go back to this regularly scheduled pattern, this midsummer pattern of temperatures in the upper 80s to low 90s with some scattered, isolated showers and thunderstorms, kind of 30-40% shot. Maybe not as widespread as what we saw yesterday, but still dealing with those showers and storms. So fairly similar to maybe what we saw back over the weekend. All right. So hopefully it's helped explain things here a little bit. Meantime, Tricia asking about rain in Thornton, and I think you're going to be on the dry side in Thornton today. I would say you've probably got a 20% shot at a shower storm, not a 0%, but you've got a pretty good chance of staying dry there in Thornton. If you were to see a shower storm, it'd probably be 4 o'clock or after to get that. Carolyn asking about Colorado Springs. You got a higher chance, probably about a 40% shot there in the Springs. Your time window would probably be between about 3 and 6 o'clock. But again, you might still see a storm after dark tonight, which is not something we see every day. So just keep that in mind. David asking, since it's going to be cooler, could that mean a higher chance of hail? Now, cooler temperatures, the main thing we look for in terms of that possibility for large hail, to answer your question, David, it's what we call wind shear. It's the change in wind speed and direction with height. And part of the nerd here for a quick second for those of you that might not care a lot. We'll get back to the forecast in just a second. But to explain when we're talking about large hail, usually you need a change in wind speed and direction with height. What that does is it allows a thunderstorm to spin, and it also allows those thunderstorms to get these really strong updraft winds. In order to get large hail, you need that wind to be really just kind of keeping those ice particles aloft, elevated and continuing to grow and to cycle. And long story short, when you don't have a whole lot of wind shear like today, you get large hail. So today